to you. And we have two speakers with us. Hello, ladies. We have Elizabet Tompson, the Associate Director for International Outreach and Education at National College Athletic Association. And also we have Kатерина Майстренко. She's a Ukrainian student, and she actually is with the rowing team at Washington State University. And we are looking forward to hear Katerina's story. We will have time to answer your questions at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to leave your questions at the chat box. And we will talk more about the athletic scholarships and the steps you need to go through to be eligible for the scholarship, and the recruitment process, and all the types of basically athletic scholarships. So ladies, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Katerina. Good afternoon, everyone. As Katerina said, I'm Elizabeth Tompson with the NCAA Eligibility Center. So what I'm going to talk about today is the process of becoming eligible to receive a sports scholarship, as well as the recruiting process. All of the information that I am giving you today is as it pertains to the NCAA, which is an organization full of member universities who provide athletic opportunities via an education to student athletes to come participate at a U.S. university. A few facts about the NCAA. We are made up of over 1,100 colleges and universities throughout the United States, and one now located in Canada. We have 98 different athletic conferences, 39 affiliated organizations. We have over 500,000 student athletes participating amongst our 3 divisions of universities each year, which amounts to over 19,500 teams. And we host 90 championships amongst men and women's sports across those 3 divisions annually. And total that amounts to 24 different sports that are offered through our universities. So where I work, and what I'm going to talk to you about today, is becoming eligible to be recruited and to receive a sports scholarship at an NCAA school. And we'll talk about the things that we look at and cover for that eligibility. So we certify college-bound student athletes for collegiate competition at the Division I and Division II schools. We also have Division III colleges and universities, but they offer academic scholarships and not athletic scholarships, so they do not go through the process that we will outline today. What we focus on is academic preparedness. We review your sports participation through age 12 through when you enroll at the university. We will be looking at your secondary school, or what we refer to as high school courses that you've studied in the grades. And then we have a customer service component that can help you through navigating the process of becoming eligible. So it's important to remember that if you want to compete at an NCAA Division I or II school, you must meet the academic and amateurism requirements that I'm going to go over in this presentation. So next I'll talk about the very first step that you will want to do in order to become eligible and in order to be actively recruited by a university, and that is to register with us on our website. If you're unsure if you want to attend an NCAA school and you just want to start getting information about the process, we do offer a free profile page. But once you are in conversations with any coaches or being actively recruited by a school, then we do have a certification account that you would transition your information over to. So the fee for that account is $150 US, and that certification account is required to review your transcripts, your diploma. It also reviews your sports participation history. You must have a certification account for any official visits to a university. So if a coach were to reach out to you and offer for you to come visit the campus, You must have one of these accounts. We also offer through the universities what's called a national letter of intent. That's referred to as an NLI, and it's or a financial aid agreement. And in order to sign one of those with the university, which commits you to that school, you must have a certification account with the NCAA Eligibility Center. Again, the profile account that you can create through the same website, and I have a QR code at the end of this slide, so you'll be able to scan that with your phone, which will take you directly to the free profile page account to create. That again is free. There is no fee associated with that. It would allow you to input your information, and then you can start receiving emails from us and reminders of what you need to do to stay on track to become eligible. So it's important to sign up for that, and there's no cost associated with it. So one of the terms that you will hear throughout the recruiting process is what's referred to as an IRL. It's an institution request list. And that is how a school actively recruits you to attend their university or to participate in sports at their university. So in order to have a review and to be on one of those request lists, you must have a certification account. Once you register with the NCAA Eligibility Center, this is what your account would look like from the inside. In the upper right-hand corner, you would find your name. You will be assigned a 10-digit NCAA ID number upon registering with us. That is the ID number that you need to give to coaches when they reach out or have any communication with you, because that's the number that they need to activate you on their request list and to be actively in the recruiting process. Anytime we need to notify you of anything, we need to request any transcripts or information from you, that will all be viewable right here on what we refer to as your dashboard in your NCAA account. Next, I'm going to talk about what the academic standards are in order to become eligible for Division I and II sports. In order to participate your first year at a college or university at an NCAA Division I school, the minimum requirements for eligibility are that you complete 16 core courses. And I will talk in a moment about what those type of courses are. This is how those 16 courses, the credits are distributed. So we require 4 years of English or your native language, 3 credits of mathematics at the Algebra 1 level or higher. Typically, we see that being year 9 math and up. We also require 2 full credits of a natural or physical science, and I'll talk about what courses qualify as those in just a moment. We require 1 additional credit in the English, native language, math, or science sections. So it could be a 5th credit of English or native language. It could be a 4th credit of mathematics. We then require 2 credits of a social science and then 4 credits of additional core courses, which can come from any of those boxes to the left. Could also be a comparative religion or philosophy course, as well as any foreign languages would also qualify as additional core courses. Here, this slide just shows you a few examples of what types of courses qualify for those areas I just mentioned. So the biggest questions that we receive are the natural, physical science, and social science sections. You'll see listed there courses such as citizenship, civics, culture, history, geography, government, law, philosophy, politics, social studies, world history. All of those would count as a social science. And your natural or physical sciences are going to be courses like biology, chemistry, earth science, environmental science, geology, natural science, just the term science in 9, 10 years, 11, those would all count as well. So this is where you can reference what some additional course titles that we see on transcripts typically would count for your eligibility towards those 16 credits. Once you have the 16 credits, we have a minimum GPA that's required for initial eligibility, and that's a GPA of a 2.3 on a 4.0 US scale. So to give you an idea of what that converts to in the Ukrainian educational system, I've listed the different grading scales that we typically see on transcripts from Ukraine so that you can see where those grades would need to be in order to have a 2.3 GPA, which to the right of the screen will show you a 2.0, a 3.0, and a 4.0. So a 2.0 being a C grade. On the 5-point scale would be a 3. On the descriptor scale would be a satisfactory grade. So it would need to be between, your average would need to be between a good and satisfactory in order to be eligible for NCAA based solely on those 16 credits. So we would not factor in other subject courses that do not fall into the 16 that I described for your GPA. Your GPA is only looking at those best 16 credits in the areas that I outlined. Next, I'm going to talk about what are the different outcomes that you can have as a status in your account for eligibility for Division I sports. The first status is a full qualifier status, and what that means is that if you are deemed a full qualifier, meaning you completed the 16 core course units that I outlined in the previous slides, as well as 2.3 or higher GPA in those areas, and being a high school graduate, then you are fully eligible for your first year at university to receive athletics aid, to practice with the team, and to compete with the team. The next status that you could have is what we refer to as an academic red shirt. And what that means is that you completed the 16 core course credits, but maybe your GPA was not high enough. So if you did not meet the 2.3 minimum, but you do meet a 2.0 minimum, then you could be eligible for academic red shirt status, which means you could still receive your scholarship that first year, and you would be allowed to practice with the team that first term at the university. But then in order to continue being able to practice with the team, you must maintain a certain number of credit hours at the university and GPA, and your university will walk you through what you need to do to maintain your eligibility once you're enrolled on campus. And again, you must also be a high school graduate and submit that diploma to the eligibility center. And then finally, the last status that you could receive in your eligibility center account would be a Division I non-qualifier status. So that means that you do not meet those 16 core courses, you do not meet the GPA, and you've not submitted proof of graduation. So if you don't meet any of those criteria, you would not be eligible your first year for athletics aid, meaning you would not be eligible to receive a scholarship, you would not be able to practice with the team or compete. Many of you may have heard about the SAT and the ACT for the students enrolling in 2021, so next fall, 2021, 2022. The test scores have been excluded from the eligibility criteria. We're continuing to analyze the use of the standardized test scores such as SAT or ACT to determine if they will be required in future years, but for NCAA initial eligibility purposes, they are not required for the next academic school year, which is fall 2021 and spring 2022. I want to point out that it's important if you are speaking to or being recruited by any NCAA school to have the discussion with the university to find out if those test scores are still required for admissions purposes. Because while we may not require them for NCAA initial eligibility, it is very possible that to be admitted into the university, you may still need to take one of those tests. Another question that we often receive about standardized tests is the TOEFL exam. While the TOEFL is not required for NCAA initial eligibility, so you did not see that covered here in the presentation today, it's very possible that the university you choose to attend will require it. Most NCAA universities for admissions purposes do require a TOEFL. So it's just important to work with each school to find out what their admissions requirements are, because the admissions requirements and process is entirely separate from NCAA initial eligibility, and it's going to differ from school to school. So if you're being recruited by 3 different universities, 2 of them may require a TOEFL, 2 of them may require an SAT or an ACT, and 1 of them may not. You'll just need to check with each individual university. Next, I'm going to talk about sports participation. This is the second portion of your review. To be certified as an amateur to play at an NCAA school. All student athletes are certified as amateurs in their sports. You cannot compete at an NCAA school if you have been a professional in the sport you're wishing to compete in. So in general, amateurism requirements for NCAA do not allow you to have contracts with a professional team of that sport, a salary for participating in athletics, prize monies above and beyond the necessary expenses. And what I mean by that is if it costs you, $100 to enter into a tennis tournament and it costs you $200 for lodging and to stay there. So total it costs you $300 for that event, but the prize money was $10,000. That $10,000 is well above the actual and necessary expenses. So your prize monies would have to be limited to what the actual and necessary expenses related to the event would be. Typically playing with professionals causes an issue in your sport. Tryouts, practices, or competitions with a professional team. Receiving benefits from an agent or a prospective agent. Signing an agreement or entering into a verbal agreement to be represented by an agent. And lastly, delaying your full-time collegiate enrollment to participate in organized sports competition. So what that means is if you graduated high school in 2017, but did not choose to enroll at a university until 2020, that would be a delay outside of the grace periods that are typically allowed per sport. I have resources at the end of this presentation which can direct you to what those grace periods or gap years are per sport. Most sports, it's a 1-year grace period or gap year that you receive after your expected date of high school graduation. Division I tennis is a little more unique where it's a 6-month grace period. And then sports like skiing and ice hockey has a 21st birthday rule. There are some exceptions as well due to COVID-19 where an extra gap year has been permitted for students who would have graduated in 2019 and their gap year would have ended in 20. That has been extended to allow for 1 additional gap year due to travel restrictions and the inability for many students to enroll at a university. So again, I have resources at the end of this presentation to direct you back to that. And you can always contact our customer service team to walk through your specific scenario to ensure that you're staying eligible throughout this time. Okay. And again, our customer service team will help you out with all of that, and I have their contact information at the end of this presentation. So when you create an NCAA account with us in your certification account, you're going to select which sport you would like to participate in at an NCAA school. You're going to log in and update your information frequently as you continue to play for different teams or attend events outside of a standard high school team, which I know is not as common in Europe. And then lastly, the spring before you enroll at an NCAA Division I or II school, you'll be prompted in your account to request final amateurism, which is essentially you saying all information in your account as it relates to your sports participation is updated and accurate and complete. And that then signs off on the information so that we can review it to ensure that there are no eligibility issues related to your amateurism. Just a few proactive reminders before we go into our resources. Be sure if you begin speaking to any NCAA schools, or if you send emails to coaches showing your interest to participate at their school, that you share that 10-digit NCAA ID number with the school. So again, when you create an account with us, it'll be in the upper right-hand corner of your Eligibility Center account. And that is the number that you will give to schools so that they can actively recruit you through this process. Also, be sure to apply to the schools that you are choosing to engage in the recruiting process with, because the admissions process is separate from the NCAA eligibility process. And as I just mentioned, in your account, if you're enrolling in the fall, you'll be able to request final amateurism on April 1st. If you're looking to enroll mid-year, so for example, that would be if you are looking to attend a university this upcoming January 2021, then that actually becomes available for you to request on October 1st, so here in just a few weeks. Be sure to talk to anyone who's advising you as far as a counselor, recruiting service, individuals such as Education USA and other resources that you have to ensure that you are getting all of your documentation in. So you will need to work with your school to have your transcripts and your final diplomas submitted in the native language, and then also ensuring that you get a certified line-by-line English translation, either from your school or through a translation service. Okay. And lastly, I just want to provide you with a few resources. So I talked about some exceptions to the eligibility process due to COVID-19. You can find that here at the top of the page for the COVID-19 FAQ. You can also visit our website at ncaa.org/playcollegesports, as well as eligibilitycenter.org, where you can create that free profile page. If you would like to learn more about what a national letter of intent is and what that entails and what it means to sign with a school, I've provided a link here for the nationalletter.org where you can find that information. And then lastly, the initial eligibility brochure, which goes over those 16 core course credits that I mentioned earlier, as well as our guide for the college-bound student athlete and our Division I and II academic requirements worksheets. So with that, the last things I have here for you is be sure to follow us on social media. You can get your phones out and scan these QR codes. We give regular updates and reminders through all of our social media. And if you're just like the rest of us, you're probably on social media quite a bit. So it's a nice reminder as you're scrolling through your phone to see reminders from the Eligibility Center of actions that you need to take to maintain your eligibility or to stay on track with that. So go ahead and scan those and be sure to follow us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. And then the last thing I have here for you is that QR code on the right will take you directly to our free profile page where you can register and create that free account. And then on the left-hand side is where you will find the contact information for our customer service team. So if you have particular questions about your account, your eligibility, or any participation that you have done, and if that would cause any issues, you can email our international customer service staff at ec-international@ncaa.org. So with that, I will now hand it over to Katerina so she can talk about her experience as a student athlete.
Hello everyone, my name is Katerina. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I'm a senior at Washington State University, and I started my career as a little Ukrainian freshman, and I don't know, it was maybe the best choice what I made in my life, because I used to be on Ukrainian national rowing team since I was 12. And my journey was pretty amazing, and I started going to European and World Rowing Championship, and I worked so hard since I was like 10. So sports played very, very valuable role in my life, and it taught me how to be strong, responsible, have a character, and never give up. So it was maybe the best things what ever happened to me. And at the how I got recruited, it's my coach. She conducted me after European championship, and Ukraine have a lot of very good rowers. So she got very interested in me, and we had a conversation afterwards, and how I started my process for being recruited by Washington State universities. And it was a rough road because I had to learn a lot, and of course it was in a different language, and I had to take a lot of classes, U4 at Washington State University, but the process was super easy. I only had to pass TOEFL, and I requires by my university only 50 points out of 120, which is so easy. And also I've been required to pass SAT, and I got 1,200, which was very impressive to me because my English wasn't very good. Now it's better, and I appreciate all my teammates and teachers and tutors that helped me go through the process, because I came from the small town, and English maybe wasn't my priorities. My priorities always been like studying math and physics and practicing. So it was like my happy place. But I very like had this situation where I need to study and need to be best. So as I started my freshman year and being only 17 years old, it was very interesting because I took a lot of classes, and somehow I ended up in 1D in rowing. It's the fastest boat. So my freshman year was amazing, and we completed all the qualification for NCAA tournament. So we went to NCAA event, and it was in Florida. So as I mentioned, we used to have like different like also training camps over the winter with the WSU, and definitely it was my best choice and best program what I could choose for me. And we had a successful race there. We got 12th, and my sophomore year, we raced so many times, and I was a stroke of 2E. It was my pleasure, and I really enjoyed because we got 6 in 2V in the 2V. So, but we didn't get a chance to compete at the NCAA. But we were like super motivated for this year, and it was my junior year. Unfortunately, our season got canceled, but we had such an amazing time, and the chemistry in a team was amazing. So definitely you could have all these opportunities would come into your life, like athletic trainers, coaches, I don't know, like we would have like yoga on weekends, and also we would receive meals, and the best part was gifts from NCAA. So definitely all these morning practices at 6 in the morning paid off, and we really appreciated all the gifts you guys spoiled us. But we're really excited to compete hopefully next spring or this spring. I don't know. Right now I'm in Ukraine because of the situation, this COVID, and it's safer for me and practice here because in Pullman right now cases are rising. So but I know a lot of people are there. Athletics doing such a great job to keep everyone safe, and we have testing weekly, so people are still in town, receive the best testing pills, all kind of treatments, and of course masks can definitely save us. And also I'm the president of appreciation committee in SAC. So we do a lot of projects for athletes and community. So it is definitely something what I've been working on, and I'm really passionate about this to make sure that athletes and like students having fun while they can study and get amazing education and play sports, which is amazing opportunity. And yeah, this is my little story, and if you guys have any question to ask me how like I received it, like it's so, you guys can contact me or just email me. And I don't know, my story was pretty easy. So, and if anyone interested, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, we just will wait for questions from our audience. I do have a question to you, Katerina. Well, it seems like it was not really hard for you to combine the classes and the sport, which is like 16 credit, as Elizabeth told, is pretty solid number of classes, and you have to, you know, to be successful with your classes, and then you still have to do sport and just, you know, do all these practices. So how did you manage to, you know, to keep the balance?
It was interesting. As I mentioned, that like you can see, I'm pretty talkative person, and when I came, my English wasn't very good, and I have very thick accent. So, you know, when I have to choose my major at the beginning, and I just went crazy, and I never had in my life laptop, and also when we we got laptops from athletics, so people are not able to buy, they can have them. So I
think we lost Katerina. Maybe she has I
can add, since it looks like we lost her for just a moment. So yeah. Just to clarify, the 16 core course credits that I talked about earlier, those are courses that we are going to look at through the final 3 years of high school studies in Ukraine. So we're going to look at years 9, 10, and 11 transcripts to ensure that you have those required credits. So it's over 3 years that you have to complete all of those credits. So once you become a student athlete at the university, like Katerina is, typically there's a minimum of 12 credit hours, which amounts to 4 or 5 classes per semester that students take in order to maintain their eligibility. There's lots of different academic support on campus, whether it's through tutors or study tables. There's a very, very good support system that helps student athletes to maintain their eligibility and to keep their grades up throughout competing.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I also have a question for you about the colleges. Do you work with all colleges, like basically in the US, or you have probably a list of colleges that you work with specifically somewhere, or how do students look for this information? Do they need to go to the college website to see if the scholarship is available for them through you and through the College Athletic Association, or can you please tell us more about it?
So there are a few different options. One, we have over 1,100 of the universities in the United States are NCAA schools. So we are just one of roughly 3 or 4 different organizations. There's also the NAIA, which is a separate collegiate sports organization. There's the NJCAA, which is the National Junior College Athletics Association. So those are a different set of colleges and universities. but a lot of your largest schools and most well-known schools, such as, you know, your USCs and your Harvards and your Texas and Florida and all of those big schools are typically NCAA schools. If they are an NCAA school, when you go to that university's website and you go to their athletic department page, you'll see this blue disc here on my polo. You'll see that on their website. Also, if you go to our website, ncaa.org, you can search for any school, and you can also search for your sport. So for example, Katerina does rowing. She could type in Division I rowing on our website, and it would provide a list of every NCAA school in Division I that offered rowing. So you have two different options, one looking at that university's website and two going to our website to search as well.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That's all right. We so far have no more questions, and well, I hope we'll just probably wait a couple seconds for Katerina to come back, and if not, so I will see your, well, this is the contact information. In case if our students have questions, they basically can send their questions to that email, correct?
Correct.
And they write with and
then in the description will be the link to the PDF for information on the academic requirements specific for Ukraine. So what are acceptable forms of high school graduation? What are the diplomas that we accept in order to be eligible to meet that criteria for being a high school graduate? The grading scales that I showed in this presentation are also on that PDF. The timelines, what we consider native language on your transcript, all of that information, your expected timeline for graduation can be found through that link that you'll be putting in the description.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just see if we have any more questions. Okay, we do have Katerina back. Katerina, can you hear us?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I can hear. I'm so sorry what happened. It just...
Well, now we can see you much better. So yeah, you can tell us about the we still have Elizabeth just corrected me, and she said this only 12 credits, but it's still 12 credits. It's just it requires like a lot of work and time. So how did you manage to balance your your life and the sport and the studies?
I don't know. I'm just very motivated kid, and I just decided that I want to do my best. So my freshman year, I got GPA 3.8, which is pretty close to 4.0. And my sophomore year, I got the honors as well. So I don't know. And my freshman year, I took 16 credits, as you mentioned at the beginning. I just felt like, oh, I want to do my best. I want to graduate in time. So I just went through because it's once in a lifetime you can get this opportunity to study wherever you want and be wherever you need. And when I got to Washington State University, and when you live in this community, you just understand that you want to be much more than an athlete. When I was going to Washington State, I thought like, I want to be Olympian, I want to be the best on the team. But when I came there and I learned the community and people, and I got a few good mentors, so I just decided to be a scientist as well. And I'm in the aerospace club, so I built the rocket last fall. So it's everything possible if you want. And you would never expect that somebody like from small town, from Ukraine, they're like barely know English, can achieve like so much. But if you have a dream, you can do everything. Like, even though like I don't have a maybe perfect place to participate right now, because I'm on my way to a European Championship, and but I really wanted to share my story and give this maybe not a hope, but little kick to all future maybe NCAA collegiate athletes, that I believe in you guys. Everything possible. Just use all kind of resources and just work hard, no matter what reason. Too early, too cold, too rainy, and nothing is impossible to you. So just work hard, because when you're gonna come to America, it's not gonna be easier. It's only gonna be harder. But you know what comes easy, easy goes. So if you work hard and you put enough, all your powers, you can do wherever you want. So I'm definitely gonna say it's all depends on person, and first of all, you have to be mentally very, very strong.
Like another question to you, Katerina, did you choose your major as a freshman, or you just decided that you do the spaceship building, you said, just later?
I chose. I chose my first major. I have two majors. My first major is international business, and I'm almost done with business school. So I have like 1 or 2 more classes. My second major is quantitative economics. It's combination of computer science and economics. And my minor is computer science. And I chose to be like, if I could go back and do engineering school, I would definitely choose mechanical engineering, but I already took a lot of classes from business, and I just fell in love with science much later, when I got better English and better critical thinking. Because when I took computer science, like C+, the first time, I was so lost. I was so young, and I didn't enjoy it as much. So I gave myself another try, maybe fell in love with business, and I did like it. So, and I just decided to go and graduate college with 2 degrees and a minor, and just really enjoy my time, because you have this opportunity, and yeah, I don't know, but of course you have to do a lot of homework.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Elizabeth, again. So no more questions, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. I know it's early morning for you ladies, and we will share the information you provided, the contact information with our students. Elizabeth, we will just post the information that you just sent to me separately. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Like, this is for Ukrainians, because it's like already evening, and we have recorded this video, and just you will be able to find it on our YouTube channel. And see you next Thursday. Thank you, ladies. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.